I just started.
The water's turning yellow. That tells me it's combustion. Or rust in the system, which I don't think there is any. You had it all apart 2 years ago.
What's up, guys? FSC Trucking. Yesterday we filmed and we were working on Orwell, figuring out what was going on with that. We also were working on exhaust on a 359. So basically today we'll be finishing this up. All it needs now is the new tires installed. The winter yesterday picked them up. So we're gonna get the new tires installed on the front end. Chris is gonna work on the clutch adjustment on it. And that's pretty much it for this. Then we get on to this, figuring out, well, we already figured it out. Then we get on with this. Yeah, we got to pull the head and then figure out what actually went wrong. Did we crack a head, sink a liner? Who knows? Either way, Orwell's down, we got to fix them up. That's the way it goes. Trucks break. No matter what it is, old, new, they break. We're just not at the mercy of the dealer. We're not at the mercy of an engine manufacturer. We just do our own work. You're probably wondering, why are we taking the tires off and working on the engine? Yeah, this way we can stand in there without having to climb over everything. What's that?
That's just silly.
Your idea. Wish I had thought of that years ago when I rebuilt this engine.
How many interstates have you run end to end? You ever think about that?
Actually, I have.
80, 10, 40, 70.
I don't, 10 in pieces. It took probably a bunch. 80, obviously all the northern ones, 80, 90, 94.
I've never run 90 end to end. Because I never made it to the north.
Missing a lot with 90.
I always wanted to get there, just never had the opportunity. Get a whole new one. Okay, get easier.
Ooh, if that one I found on Marketplace was a 400, like I said, it already been in the truck. I drove right down there and got it. Makes you wonder, there's a point where it's like, does that even make sense? A spare engine ready to roll for a truck? Especially if you got all the trucks the same, then it would make sense for sure. Like if you had 2 or 3 of these trucks and they all had this engine, oh, it would make sense to have one sitting on the stand ready to ride.
We were trying to get there because they're Cummins, that's all they had. ISX and M14. So it would have been really easy there.
Yeah. Oh, it makes sense. Yeah, I'll stand up on it, pop it off and hand it to you. Oh, you got to go. Yay! Yay me!
You got this.
Go fast, Jay. Yeah, watch, just slip right off that brake drum. Either the brake drum slides or the brake chamber hurts my feet. Just grabbing it.
Can you handle it?
I hope so.
Once she knows when I get to it.
Well, that adapter gone.
I don't really care for that. I can't see if it's turning. I don't think it is.
I don't feel like it. I got all kind of grease and goop falling off here too.
We just got too much play going from the inch.
Yeah.
Too many adapters. Well. Okay. Maybe that one of Ryan's did have the wrong stuff. I don't remember.
Oh, there's two of them. Brought out the big guns, did you? Let me get down the ground. Ready? Yep.
Wow. Yeah. That impact good. Have you got
Just clear as the bell. Can't get that one until this is gone.
You got that with you?
Yeah.
Where's that song?
Really?
If there's your problem, your head was loose.
That all it was?
Yeah.
Damn it. Alright, yeah, just tighten it up and done with it. It's kind of pressed against the air tanks, but just let me down a little bit. Chain off. That's good. Oh gosh.
We might pick it up and down a couple times to find the middle.
Yeah. Let's try there.
Get under the front of it. Somehow.
Loose.
We're cool. Here's the thing, pop it back up again.
There you go. It balanced out pretty nice.
Get dumb luck again.
Now everybody's gonna come look now.
Try to peel that head gasket down here without,
Yeah. Well,
so we got something to look at. No.
there we go. Loose.
Now, back out the same way we came in.
That's the idea.
Big nice shop, and we're working in this little corner.
Broke against it.
Shit, yeah, that's what I was looking for. That's it. If that falls on me, I'm gonna be upset. Or grips on me. I don't see anything in the head gasket. Which is not what you wanted to hear, but I don't.
No, that's what I was saying earlier. I don't see anything staring me in the face.
Did that happen when we pulled it off? Probably. Yeah. I don't see it. Which leaves one other thing.
Well, it didn't exactly. Well, there wouldn't be a failure between a spacer plate and a block, perchance.
No,
would?
because that's you're containing compression up here.
Right, between the cylinder itself and
This fire ring right here. That's what's containing the compression.
right.
You would see it blown out, burnt, something. Streaks, I don't see it. The way these are rusty it makes me think that, you know, coolant was getting in there, but I don't see a trace of it in the gasket. There might be something.
That's just dust.
Okay.
Blow it away.
I don't see anything. So, leaves us with one option.
And it's swinging over there.
See anything white? Not right on. Okay, usually if they're cracked, they'll crack in here. Sometimes it's obvious. These two, they got different, no, I guess not. I'd say they're different discoloration, but I don't think so. Well, I can't say definitely right now.
No.
I don't see anything.
All right, everybody. Ultimately, we got the head off. We didn't find any obvious cracks in the head. Got it hanging on the cherry picker right here. Chris is taking the fuel nozzles out of it right now. Ultimately, it's got to go out to get pressure checked, magnafluxed, all of that, and then see if the head shot or if it was just a bad head gasket, or we haven't even started liner protrusion to see if that's a thing right now with this engine. We don't know. It's getting late in the day, so I think the idea right now is just get the nozzles out and then get it ready to go to get checked. That's basically that. But I want to show you the inside of the cylinders as they are, and get my light here, show you what we got. So come over here to the engine. Obviously, number one cylinder, 6, right? The cam, well, you don't see the cam, you see the lifters in there. But look at them cylinders. There's a lot of trash fell in this one because of pulling the head gasket, but you see the spray pattern from the nozzles on top of the piston crowns and so on. Ultimately, we didn't find anything obviously like a head gasket saying, "Here I am." You know, I was kind of hoping we'd see something very obvious, but that doesn't mean it's not deep in the head or something. We don't just yet know. So I'll have to pick that up on the next video. There's still more work to have to be done here because we still want to take care of another leak that was on the housing where the oil cooler goes into the block. Oh yeah, I could show you that real quick too. So right here's your oil cooler, and there's a housing that goes from here into the side of the block. And let me spin the camera around, hang on. It goes right into the water jacket, and you can see that's number 4 cylinder liner from the inside. You probably could see deep in there. And get the light in there better. You can see around the corner. So your water flows through here into the block, and that's how that keeps the oil cool. Right here underneath this piece right here is where your oil filter is. Let's see inside your oil cooler. There you go. Now that gasket there, where this little square opening was, it did have a small leak to it. You can see it dripping down. So we figured we'll have this all apart. Plus, one of these valves, these cutoff valves, they're leaking too. There's 2 of them that are supposed to be on there. There's 2 of them on here that are original to the truck the way I got it, and they leak as well. And once they started leaking, I had to close them to make them not leak anymore. And then they started leaking again. The packing in them goes bad. So we're actually going to be able to start running a conditioner filter. But I always ran Caterpillar ELC coolant in here, so we really didn't need it. But nonetheless, it'd be nice to run it if we have it. So that'll be taken care of too. So either way, we're going to have to, again, check the liner projection, which in videos past, I showed, right? Matter of fact, when this channel started taking off, I showed us doing this, how to test it. And we tested it with the new cylinders, with the old block being cut, which is how it is right now. It's still possible that one sank. We never found a problem on the head gasket. So either way, at this point, we honestly don't know. So off to the machine shop the head goes, and it'll probably be 2-3 days till we figure that out. So today's Tuesday, Thursday, I guess we'll know something Friday. That is what it is. All right, enough me yapping. I gotta get editing video, I suppose, to make you guys have this somewhat entertaining. We're tired. I'm tired. I know Chris is absolutely whooped. So, all right, big hustle today. I just got back from dropping off the head off of Orwell. We took the head off of Orwell yesterday because if you haven't been seeing it in the recent videos, you might want to go back and check it out. Orwell was pushing water out the radiator. Obviously failed the water bottle bubble test. It was pretty bad. So I dropped them off. We got the head off yesterday in a flurry of work. Me and Chris worked on it pretty much all day. Got it taken apart. And to be honest, we were pretty tired. By the time we got everything taken apart, we were pretty whooped. And we weren't finding initially what the problem was. So we're like, okay, either way, the head's got to be redecked or at least reconditioned, or what's the word? Either way, the head has to be checked, pressure tested, you know, smoothed out, decked as they call it. So that has to be done anyway. First thing you're gonna do is pressure test it, see if there's any cracks or any problems with it. If there is, we're gonna have to replace it. If there's not, then obviously we're gonna have it done and then put back on the truck. But there's a few odd end things we want to try to get done with the, there's still a few odd end things that need to be done with this truck while it's apart. There was a couple of things I wanted to fix, but I didn't want to take it apart because one broken piece that I thought was going to break, we haven't determined whether it will or not, would create a whole thing of having to take a bunch of stuff apart. But since half the engine's disassembled anyway, now's the time. We'll get into that there in a little bit. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Now remember I just said we got done, we were tired, and working tired, you often miss stuff that you normally wouldn't miss. Chris is pretty sure he found the problem, which relaxes me. You gotta picture this. I wish I had the cameras going. I dropped off the head, and I'm over here. I see Chris working with the engine block. He goes, "Your head's not cracked." I'm like, "How do you know?" Well, then he showed me. It was basically looking at us straight in the face the whole time. I saw it, but I thought maybe that was from us when we were lifting the head off the block. We had stuck a pry bar in there to try to make the head gasket separate because the head gasket was stuck to the engine block in places, stuck to the head and others. I thought that was from me hitting it with the bar. He's like, "No, it's all brown, look." And he showed it to me. I'm like, "Oh crap, okay." So it was a head gasket failure after all. But why? Is there a why? Well, there's answers to that. I'll have to explain. Let me go ahead and show you the head gasket. It was staring us in the face.
Well, no, you can see it pretty well. At 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. You see the black trace right here? This is a water jacket. And see where the gasket is tore. That's compression into the coolant. That was our problem. Now we got to figure out why. Did a liner move? Or sometimes they just blow if we're lucky.
or sometimes they just blow if we're lucky.
We'll see.
Now, approximately 4 years ago, before the channel took off and got into any kind of bigness, I mean, to be honest with you, this channel started as an automotive channel to push the shop to do custom cars. That was its original intent. Reason for that, get me off the road full time to get custody of Matthew. I later on got custody of Matthew, and then COVID hit. I was hiding Orwell from the channel. I had bought the truck, got it running meaning fixed it up. It already ran, it ran good, but it needed new tires, brakes, and pretty much every piece of rubber had to get replaced. But the engine ran and ran solid. And I drove the truck for 3 months off the channel completely. And then over Christmas time, 2019 into 2020, Christmas time, it started dumping water into oil and it barely made it home. I was able to limp it home, but it sucked up a lot of water and a lot of oil at the same time. I got it home and then rebuilt it starting around New Year's, because we went, matter of fact, I remember that was, you got to bear in mind, 2019, 2020, what was going on at that time. We went, the last load right before Christmas is when it failed. So we went home for the holidays, meaning that we went from Wisconsin to my parents that lived in the East Coast over in New Jersey at that time. Went over there, spent the holidays, came back, and then started on the rebuild. That was January 2020. By March 2020, COVID was in full swing. No one really knew what was going on. And in that time, I had the truck tore apart, and it was just me, myself, and I in the old shop working on this truck, rebuilding it. But I didn't really cover it on the channel. Car shows were ending. There was nothing really to do. So I started doing some vlogs with this. The first video in my channel that we ever saw Orwell was when I was checking the liner projection or protrusion. Which is it, projection or protrusion, and why do I have it wrong?
Protrusion.
Protrusion. I always call it projection. I don't know why.
Same thing, but yeah.
Yeah, so if you hear me say it wrong, that's why. That's the first video we ever did with this engine. First video with this truck, period. Then I got it running. I did a video of its first start, and then I did a video of its first load. Couple months after I did the video with the first load, that's when the channel blew up. Everybody wanted to see me driving this Cabover that I was hiding from the channel. I never thought that was the thing. But nonetheless, that's the story. And here we are 4 years later with a failed head gasket. Now, back to the video where I was talking about, I then called it projection. When I did the video, I was standing literally right where Chris is now and discussed what we were checking, how we were checking, and what the numbers were. Later on, afterwards, I found out Caterpillar wants 5 to 6 thousandths of liner protrusion, which is over the spacer plate gasket, which is basically a thin piece of steel, and a spacer plate, which is approximately, I don't know, like 1/4 inch-ish thick. You'll see that here in a minute. But in the day when I made that video, I was going straight off the reprinted books from when this engine was new, 40-year-old reprinted books, and I don't remember off the top of my head what those numbers were. They were acceptable back in the day. They're a little small now. However, that should be what they are now unless the liners sank further into the block, at which point if they did, we got to take that apart and redo it. That brings up the next question. If we pull liners, do we now replace the packs and go on with this again? Time will only tell. Once Barrels up in Green Bay tells me what's up with my head, whether we're in good shape or not, we'll know what we're going to do here. Also, we got to wait for the new gasket kit to come in and the new spacer plate, which according to Barrels, I should not have reused. That's up to debate. I ordered a new one. They'll be here tomorrow along with the gasket kit. So tomorrow we'll be able to check the cylinder liner protrusion once all my parts get in here for that part. In the meantime, there's still more prep work to be done.
What is that, one of my old head bolts?
No, it's one of my old head bolts. I've got one for every engine. Just take an old bolt. It probably didn't show up really well, but
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah,
cut
yeah.
grooves in it and make it a thread chaser. Clean
Oh, okay.
It's a poor man's tool, but it's effective. I've got them for, I don't have one for Detroit, but I've got them for everything else. See, there's a lot of junk in there.
I saw earlier you're using this to suck out the oil out of the bolt holes too.
Oh, you take a head off an ISX, it'll hold 2 gallons of oil just laying in the head. So when you pick it up, oil just goes everywhere. So you use that. I've tried using pig mats on it. And it's just easier to do that. Up with that one. Just got a little junk in it, maybe. This is the fun part of doing an overhaul. Not really. I'm being sarcastic. It's just tedious cleaning all this stuff up, and yeah. The more time you take doing this, the better your end result will be.
So people don't realize the amount of time it takes to do this work. I remember when I did this initially, I was doing a bunch of other stuff in addition to rebuilding this, and it took me forever, just by myself. And people look at the amazing price of sending a truck out to get overhauled. It's a lot of work.
A lot of labor.
Yeah,
I
it's...
mean, parts are expensive, but the labor, there's a lot of labor.
Oh yeah.
So you don't think about.
People don't realize that. And honestly, it's why a lot of guys like me that we were talking about this the other day, you know, when you go to the truck show, you look at the amount of stuff at the truck show that's not necessarily truck centric, but truck shop centric. In other words, selling you the tools, the lifts, all the different things to make life just a little bit easier for the mechanic, because most trucking companies run their own shops. Why? Because it's very expensive to take your truck to Caterpillar, to Peterbilt, and then you got to find competent help. It's a challenge. So a lot of guys do our own work as best we know how, and it takes time. I liked it better that time. Alrighty, so I'll try to explain what I was dealing with over here. This is just kind of like one of those small little projects that you don't want to touch, because as Chris is famous for saying, every job is always one broken bolt away from disaster. And that's what I feared was going to happen here. Like, what am I looking at here? Well, I'll show you.
This is the front of the engine. Here's your gear case. This is all your timing gears and all that whatnot in here. Your pump, when you change out your pump, is this housing right here, and in the back of the housing is this. This comes apart. There's that space for the gasket. Alternator bracket right here, just so you recognize. You guys with your 3406 Cats C15s, you should recognize all this. It's basically, they never changed it much. This is your water line going up to your surge tank and your radiator. This line here, they keyed into it because this goes to the green APU. This here goes to the truck's heater core. All this is green APU harness right this, all this here. When a lot of times in the summertime, a lot of guys will close these valves right here to shut the water off to your heater core. Just makes it a little cooler in the truck. That helps your air conditioner work better. That way you're not blowing cold air through a hot heater core. Just close these valves and you're good to go. But these are the valves that are supposed to be here, this T-handle type. Like a ball valve, similar to this here. Just turn that and you're good. But somebody had installed back in the truck's day, easier to see here, a screw type. You turn it like a water valve, like on the side of your house. And literally, I'm not really sure that that's not what this actually is. This valve here, along with the one that's up front, is how you shut the water off to your conditioner filter. And you're like, that looks really old. It hasn't been changed. Well, no, because it hasn't been changed since we put it together way back when I rebuilt this engine. And that sounds really, really bad. But reason for that is, see this valve right here? It's hard to see. See it right here. You can't get that valve out without taking this off. Now this valve come off this tubing, but the tubing has to come off to spin that valve out. And that tubing looks like it'll break if you try to take it off. When I rebuilt the engine, I took this off, cleaned it, painted it, put it back on, thinking everything was hunky-dory. And then the valve started leaking. So I got the ones for the heater core replaced, but the ones for the conditioner filter, I did not. I can't get that one out without risking breaking stuff, and then I have to take all of this apart. But since all of this is apart anyway, we're going to go ahead and take care of that. Now, why was I not running the conditioner filter?
When I first bought Orwell, the engine was of unknown condition, meaning that I knew it was rebuilt recently in mileage, but not recently in time. It was an unknown thing. At that point, I was trying to get it done as not cheap as possible, but within reason. With an unknown engine, do you put a lot of money in the fluids you put into it? Not really. I normally run the Shell Rotella engine oil for the diesels anyway, but then you start getting into your antifreeze. What do you run for that? So I was buying it from Fleet Farm with the ELC treatment in there, the extended life version that you get. You can buy the truck stops, most tractor supply stores, stuff like that carry it. It's a little bit less than Caterpillar brand fluid, so we ran that until the engine let go. When the engine let go, at that point, with everything new, we just put all the new Cat fluids in it and be done with it. Bought it straight from Caterpillar. Now, it has the treatment in there, the extended life treatment. I think it's the ELC they talk about. Don't really understand the chemistry when it comes to the coolant in there, but nonetheless, you don't have to run the filter if you're running extended life coolant, which we were. And I wasn't going to have to take this whole housing section apart over a stupid little valve that leaked. So close the valve, it no longer leaked. Well, guess what? A couple of, maybe 3 months ago, it started dripping a little bit. Again, I'm not going to destroy it over a small little drippy drip, but it would have to be done in the future. This is now the future. Alrighty, everybody, it's the moment of truth, basically. You put the metal gasket down between the new spacer plate and the block. The short bolts, again, if you've seen that previous video in the past, here's a little clip from it.